this. I got my degree in human development and family studies.
Okay.
Oh, just say
But my degree, hold on, my degree says home ec. Now, which is not the thing anymore.
he majored in making blueberry muffins.
That is exciting.
That's why I like the blueberry question.
There you go.
The Catwalk Podcast showcases the greatest of the people of the Permian Basin through partnering in conversation with high-level leaders, social entrepreneurs, nonprofit leadership, and industry executives.
Welcome to another edition of the Catwalk Show. I am your host, Jay Whitlow. Welcome. I want to tell you a little bit about our guest today. It's Kelli Davis. Kelli was born and raised here in Midland. She attended Texas Tech, graduating in 2004 with a degree in public relations and a minor in marketing. She landed roles in media sales in Lubbock and North Dallas before starting her own Dallas area marketing franchise in 2007. Up until time she moved back to Midland in 2013, her husband Brian and other business partners began building Second Story Co-working, which opened to the public in July of 2019. While Second Story was launching, Kelli got the entrepreneur itch and co-partnered to open Easy Cheesy Photos, an automated photo rental company servicing large venue events from weddings, grad parties, and corporate events. Kelli stepped in on July 2022 as the managing partner of Second Story. She currently works on project management within Midland Tower. She handles all things Easy Cheesy and manages the day-to-day operations of Second Story. Kelli and her husband Brian and their 3 kids live here in Midland. They attend Stonegate Fellowship. Just a minute. Here is my conversation with Kelli Davis.
Elevate your operation with Performance Chemical Company, the pioneers in redefining chemical solutions for the oil and gas industry in the Permian Basin. Unveiling groundbreaking ideas since 2017, our dry chemistry plant stands as a testament to innovation. Our products and services revolutionize water treatment, production, midstream, and saltwater disposals. We're your strategic partners in optimizing investments, slashing operating expenses. Performance Chemical Company. How you get there matters.
Welcome back to the Catwalk. We are so glad that you're joining with us today. I'm your host, Jay Whitlow, and as always, sitting right across from me is the great Chris DeGaulle. Chris, what's up?
Oh, not a lot. How are you?
Great. How was Vegas?
It was really good.
Yeah,
Really
you
good.
went to the National Broadcasters.
National Association of Broadcasters.
Yeah, and did you do anything really cool?
Well, I got to sit down with a couple of vice presidents from major organizations like SiriusXM. Sat down with the head marketing director of QVC, which was
nice.
pretty neat.
The little
I didn't
shopping
know
channel?
KFC was still around.
Yeah, it's still around.
Okay.
I think, isn't it?
So this is the conversation I had because he was talking about his marketing platform and how he reaches his demographic, and I was like, so after it was over, he answered some of our questions, and I said, I've never heard of QVC Plus. It's a new streaming platform.
Like a Disney Plus.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I said, how are you marketing that? I've never heard, and I stay
Right.
within the loop of all these
Right.
streaming platforms. And he goes, you're not our demographic.
Okay, so what is he defining as his demographic?
45 and up women
All right.
in a certain income bracket.
Okay.
And so he said, you're not our market, our
Not
demographic.
wasting our marketing dollars on you. Okay.
And he goes, we're not focused on you. We are pinpoint marketing to a specific audience. So he's like, it doesn't matter if you don't know, but we want your wife to know.
Okay.
And I was like,
Fair enough.
yeah.
There you go. And obviously, the female that you hear and see talking is our very special guest, Kelli Davis. Welcome to the Catwalk.
Thank you so much.
We are so glad that you are here. So you have a marketing background.
I
and
do.
We're going to talk a little bit about that. So you guys could probably talk all day long about all things marketing and stuff. But I did want to bring something up because Chris was at Vegas. Do you guys travel a lot?
Not a whole lot. Now with 3 kids, it's a lot more challenging. We frequently look back and think, what the heck were we doing those 7 years before that?
Yeah.
When we didn't have kids, like why didn't we travel more? But
True.
Yes, been to Vegas several times. Where'd you stay, Chris?
I always stay at the El Cortez.
Okay.
I like Old Vegas.
Okay, so you're downtown then.
Yeah, I'm always
All right.
downtown. I'm thinking about trying out some of the new ones. I roamed around like the Horseshoe
Yeah.
for a little bit, and I really liked that place. Made some decent money. at the
Okay.
Horseshoe, so I feel like I need to
to
give
beat.
back a little.
Do you want to share any of that?
Yeah, look, I did. My wife took it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, she should. So, did you Uber when you were there?
Tons.
Tons. Are you an Uber?
Oh yeah,
person? Yeah?
absolutely.
Okay. Well, what I thought I'd bring to the masses for us to discuss is the weirdest things that Uber has ever or Uber drivers have ever found in their Uber cars. This came out in New York Post last week. Is there anything you've ever left?
I haven't
car?
left anything. Have you ever been in a shared Uber, like where you like
Not with my family, but with like
with other people? I didn't
No.
know this was a thing. We
That's
went to New
weird.
York a couple of years ago and we picked up the cheap Uber option. We didn't realize that there are shared Ubers
No,
that
I can't do that.
happen. And so we got in the car and he was like, "Okay, just a minute," and waited for like 5 more people to come. And then we went around the entirety of New York City while he dropped off other people, and then we were there, he's like dropped us a couple blocks from
like
our
the
hotel.
shuttle bus at
Yes,
the airport.
exactly,
Yeah.
which
Oh
I
my
did
gosh.
not know existed.
No.
But no, I haven't left anything.
Yeah,
in-
Chris, have you left anything in the Uber?
No, but I was a cab driver for 3 years, part time, and so I've got some stories of things that.
Well,
were
let's see if it tops any of these because this came out last week, and this is Uber's weirdest things. Now, it's not going to have things like telephone, wallet,
weird stuff.
keys, stuff like that you would think people would leave. But here's a few of these, and I want you to respond, okay? A hair toupee.
I feel
Chris,
like
you'd
you
probably-
knew.
You probably have a hair toupee, don't you?
I don't have a hair toupee.
He owns this.
I own it. Like, I'm not ashamed of it. But I had
Good for
a
you.
woman leave her weave
Really?
back before.
Okay. This is a combo, hot sauce and breathalyzer. Is there a reason why you'd have a breathalyzer with your hot sauce?
Why does someone carry it around? Like,
That's a great question.
I have a buddy who has a belt holster for his Tabasco sauce.
No.
Yes.
that's pretty sexy right there.
Yeah, right? I thought so.
That's when
pretty
you
what?
know a sexy. I think
That's
like
awesome.
you have a man who knows that he needs that and he owns
Yes.
it and he's like, I'm
He's
gonna keep
owning
it
it.
right here. So
A small rat skeleton prop. Don't know what that would be. A candle that says "See you in court." That's pretty.
Okay.
That's pretty funny right there. A candle that says "See you in court." A live turtle, as
I like
opposed to a
that.
dead turtle.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
how
like
do
the
you
live one better. than-
Carry a living creature onto a cab or an Uber
And leave
then
it?
Forget you even had it.
I feel like it's a pocket situation, right?
I'm guessing a tiny little turtle, but I'm thinking
Could have been.
I'm thinking like the ones you find out on the side of the
Like-
road
like
Yeah.
box
that are
turtle.
like the size of a dinner plate or something.
True.
And like, how do
You're
you
finding
forget that?
larger turtles where you live than my kids find in
Grew up
the.
in the country.
Yes, they
He
live
did. He is a
large out
country
there.
Yeah,
Uh,
they ate healthy.
3 feathers.
Like,
It just says 3 feathers. So I don't know if they killed a bird and they stole
well,
it.
that could be a pigeon.
feathers, it
a
could be a
pigeon
Or-
had flapped.
Or
in.
some hippie chick got drunk and passed out, and they fell out of her hair.
It could
you
be.
go. There you
The
go.
guy with the toupee,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Okay. Okay, now it gets really crazy. A burrito steamer.
Those exist?
Don't know what that is.
I don't either.
Is that slang for something?
Don't know. When I saw that, I thought,
Don't Google it.
should I even mention that?
Yeah,
on
I
the
wouldn't. I
show?
wouldn't Google that.
I wouldn't Google that. Yeah.
like that's so weird.
This will fit for you. A WWE championship belt.
That actually, so it's
Because you've
happened
got some right
twice.
over there in
Yeah,
the.
I've got a few. That's happened twice to actual professional wrestlers, where they'll go out partying, celebrating their win,
Yeah.
Leave it at
and
the
then
bar.
leave it in the car or Uber or whatever they're taking.
With their turtle.
Yeah, and then sometimes
And their
it'll be-
toupee.
And their
Yeah.
toupee.
But yeah, it's wild. It's anytime that happens, like the whole internet wrestling community blows up about it because they're like, who's the lucky guy to find it?
Wow. Yeah, that would be amazing for you if you could find a
That'd be
WWE
cool.
belt. Yeah. Now this is the one that got me all bent out of shape because I was like, who in the world has this with them? But this is what was said. I left expensive blueberries that are special that I need that the store's completely out of. Wait,
Have
what
you
got
seen
me was
those-
expensive.
The jumbo blueberries from HEB. Have
Those
you
are
had these?
expensive?
Yes, they're more expensive than the regular ones, and they're better because I feel like they aren't as tart, and my kids eat them a lot better, which means that they're more expensive because we eat a lot more of them.
But blueberries?
I-
What is it
Maybe
like
organic?
an antioxidant or something? And they were like, I'm sick and I got to have my blueberries.
Very
The only
special
time I think
blueberry.
about blueberries is in muffins.
Okay.
They're
All
never.
You're not taking this seriously.
They're never a thought that crosses my mind.
Well, let's get on to knowing about you, Kelly, because we could go all day about all the crazy stuff we left in the Uber, but it scares me about the whole shared Uber thing. I can't share a lot of.
I would agree.
things.
Now I can honestly say I don't wish to share again.
Yeah.
But
You're from Midland.
I am. Yeah,
and you
born
graduated
and raised.
from Tech, Reckham.
Yes.
So briefly walk us through what was childhood like, junior high, high school,
Sure.
and what led you to Tech.
Okay, so born and raised in Midland, born at Midland Memorial, and went to Santa Rita Elementary, and this is back when they bust you all over. So I went to Santa Rita, then Jane Long, back to Santa Rita, then over to Travis, and then after that Goddard and Midland Freshman, and then Midland High.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was a little bit of an underachiever in the sense that, like, if my parents let me, like, do, like, the bare minimum, I see this in my kids now. I'm like, if I don't ride you and push you towards something, like, you don't really have that natural instinct to, like, just go big. And so my parents were pretty, like, just hands off as far as the college application process goes. And so I applied to Tech because it was the easy one. This is before, you could, like, apply to several at
Right.
with one click and one application
Like
fee.
the Texas
and everything.
Common
Right,
application.
right.
Yeah.
So I applied to Tech. We had, gone up to C-Tech, gone up to C&M, but I applied to Tech first, and I got in, and it was 2 hours away, and my parents were not, like, super upset. They were Aggies, still are Aggies, but 2 hours is a lot less
Yeah.
than 7 hours or however far College Station is, and
Right.
so they were totally fine with it. I was like, all right, that'll work. And truly, that was about the amount of thought that I gave to it. And my husband is probably going to watch this and be very upset that I am revealing how unanalytical I am about some really huge decisions, but I just generally liked the campus and liked Lubbock, and so here we go.
Yeah. Where'd he go to school?
He went to Tech as well, so he can't
he?
argue
Okay,
with
so
me
he can't
that
argue.
much
Yeah,
because we met there. So it's really it's hard to look back and regret anything because met him there. So
Well, let's break that down because I went to Tech and I lived in Murdo.
okay,
Where did you live?
I was
Did you
in
live on-
Chitwood.
Chitwood. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he live on campus?
He did not. No, he is a Lubbock boy, born and bred, and
Okay,
so
so he got to stay at home.
he stayed at home. Yes, and then moved into an apartment. Skipped the whole dorm thing, which I think he probably regrets. I think that.
Yeah, that was a bad choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needed that
Yes.
experience.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Okay, so public relation degree,
Yes.
minored in marketing.
Yes.
Okay. What was the reason to go in public relation? Was that something you always wanted to do, or it was the easiest degree, the hardest degree? What made you want to do that?
So I started my dreaming in high school. I really wanted to be like Barbara Walters or Katie Couric. I wanted to be a broadcast journalist, and I had a very kind. She was kind, but she's a very crusty professor, and I'm sure you can picture like brown polyester pants, like chain smoker. Like she was like
Typical, yeah.
she was a hardcore journalist, and
She sounds like some of my favorite people I've worked with in news.
yes, yeah.
'Cause
So
they will spit nails at you.
yes, so she was not like the pretty polished thing that I was picturing.
Right.
She was like in the back newsrooms writing the stories and like just really had lived a life in this profession. And she was like, tell me, like, why do you want to be a journalist? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I just want to bring people the news and it just looks so fun. And she was like, do you know how much money you're going to make? And I was like, well, no. And she's like, you're going to make like $19,000 like coming out of school. That's it. And you're going to work weekends and you're going to work really late nights and you're going to be like the bottom rung of the totem pole. And like, think about professional athletes. There's like a few thousand of them. So like, there's probably about that many like broadcast journalists who are actually able to put food on their table with this career in all of the larger networks in America. And let me tell you, chick, it's probably not going to be you. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
And literally the next
Welcome to
day,
tech.
I was like, yeah, this is like the last part of my freshman year. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, you know what? I feel like that's some wise guidance. I will just shift. And
yeah.
I didn't have to like lose any credits. If I just rolled over to public relations, all of my credits like applied. And then I really enjoyed public relations, like all the nitty gritty, like even crisis PR, like that was a super fun class.
Okay, what's crisis PR? Give me an
That's
example.
when like a company does something really, really bad, or someone's like one of
Like
in-
Enron.
yes,
something like
or
that.
okay, so I
Hope that doesn't
interned.
get me in trouble.
Okay, hold on. You just used Enron as a reference.
That is an old school reference.
What year is this?
What year is the Enron?
No, what?
Wait.
Why? It's such a dated reference, like Enron. There's so many other people who are doing like crisis
Worse
PR
stuff.
right now,
Yeah.
and you're like
So-
Enron.
I interned at this little public relations and marketing firm in Lubbock, and one of our clients was Habitat for Humanity. And
Okay.
so what I got to do was write a crisis PR plan for if someone was murdered on a Habitat like property.
Or event or something?
Yeah, exactly. And so like nothing that ever happened there, but something that could happen, and you needed to have a plan in place. And I was just fascinated.
And that drew you in?
It did. It was like, so my mom will tell you that I loved reading drama in real life in the
Right.
Reader's Digest. And
Okay, yeah.
like
yeah.
there's that section that they have in there. And she literally got me a subscription my freshman year of college to Reader's Digest so I could read the drama in real life. And
So this was
that,
an intern
this was,
at
yeah.
Habitat.
No. This was
No.
an intern for a public relations
Public
firm,
relations,
and our
okay.
client was
Habitat,
Habitat there
okay.
in Lubbock. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so you graduated. What did your husband's name's Brian?
Yes.
What was his degree?
So, management information systems.
Okay.
Really.
Was he in Rawls Business School? or were
Yes,
you in
yes.
Rawls?
No, I did marketing over in Rawls. Everything
yeah.
else was over in Mass Comm, which of course now is in the old Rawls
Yeah.
building because everything is everywhere different now.
It's totally different now. When I went, and Chris will make fun of this, I got my degree in human development and family studies.
Okay.
Oh,
My-
just say
but my degree, hold on, my degree says home ec. Now, which is not the thing anymore.
he majored in making blueberry muffins.
That is exciting.
That's why I like the blueberry question.
There you go.
No, back in the day, I graduated in May of 90.
Okay.
1990.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the degree.
Not
was-
1890?
Yeah, not 18. Thank you. It was the home ec building, the College of Home Economics. And so
Okay.
everybody wants to make fun of me. You can apply back and get a new diploma that doesn't say
That
that.
doesn't
It
say
says the
it's
College
that,
of Human Development
Like,
and Family.
questionable that
Yeah,
they want that.
but I leave it up so that people, it's a
It is a talking
conversation
point,
starter,
yes,
right? Okay.
Absolutely.
As part of the crisis PR, I would say you should probably update that.
I should probably update
You just
that.
have one in your hip pocket. in
True,
case.
with my Tabasco on a belt.
Yes.
All right, you graduated?
Yeah.
And then did you guys get married before you moved to the Dallas area? or-
Yeah. So Brian graduated in May of 2020. No, sorry, 2003, and then I was 2004. And
03 and 04.
Mhm. And so he, stayed in Lubbock so we could keep hanging out. And then he
But y'all weren't
proposed.
married.
We were not married. No, he had his apartment where he was actually he had a really, really sweet deal. He had the bottom floor of an apartment, and a company he was working for paid for the top floor of the apartment.
yeah.
And so it was like he had a roommate, they
Yeah.
paid for that, but he didn't have to live with anyone. It was
Wow,
really the
okay.
sweetest setup ever.
All right, and you guys migrated down to Dallas.
We did, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And at that point, you were working for a firm in North Dallas. Is
So
that right?
I started selling radio ad time.
Selling radio ad time.
And let me tell you, radio is a fun place to work unless you want to have a family, because
Right.
like you have to do, radio remotes. I don't even know if they do those anymore. But like back when I was working in radio, if you sold a remote broadcast where like the DJ would come out and be like, "Hey, we're out here at Paul's Cars. We're gonna
Right,
sell
right.
some cars today. We got some pizza and da da da." You had to actually be there as the salesperson to make sure everything went well.
Okay.
And so,
What radio station? Are you
so
able
it
to say?
was. I don't care. KLLL.
KLL. Okay.
Yeah,
'Cause I'm from Dallas.
Okay.
Not Dallas
okay.
proper,
So
but I
that's-
remember the whole Dallas
Sorry,
scene.
that's where I worked in Lubbock.
Lubbock. Okay.
Okay. So it was,
What
KLLL.
year?
It was-
it KLL?
so I graduated.
worked
in
in Lubbock at a
04, so
radio
it was 05 and 06.
So you worked for Clearcom or Clear
No,
Channel?
it was Next Media, and then they sold to someone I can't remember.
So it's
it was a
Clear,
small-
then Next, and then I think it's Town Square maybe now.
I don't have a clue. But I went to a Next station in McKinney. They were starting this
yeah.
little McKinney radio station. It was actually broadcast from, I'm gonna forget the name. It was like an hour north of there.
Yeah.
Sherman Denison is
Okay,
where they
yeah, yeah,
broadcast
yeah.
from, and so it was just a little like North Collin County radio station,
right.
and it was just emerging, and so I got to go and sell ad time there, and it was a whole different ball game than being in like the #1 radio station in town in Lubbock. This was like a no-name
Right,
thing, and
right.
so I didn't stick around very long. We decided to become entrepreneurs, and that was a flop.
Where did you
as
live
well.
in Did you live in the McKinney area? or-
Yeah, we were in McKinney, and then lived in Plano for a little while,
Yeah.
and then went back to McKinney.
Okay.
So we were
You
there
remember
for
the ticket? Did you ever hear that
like
station?
the sports station.
sports station?
Brian loved that
I'm
station.
a huge ticket fan, ticket head. Yeah, when we
Okay.
were there, that was all I ever listened, and I still listen to it. So
Oh, yeah.
I need to get Brian on the show.
Yes.
So we can talk all ticket language.
He would love that. He would
That's
love that.
awesome. All right, so you finished up that, and then I think your bio said you launched a
So we bought
marketing company.
a marketing franchise. It was based in Santa Barbara, or I guess that's where where the owners were, but I think it was based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and then we went to see the branch over in Santa Barbara, California, and just got really into this business, and it was a horrible business model, and
The model that you bought into.
yes, we were young and we were dumb, and Brian was raised in like just a long line of entrepreneurs. Like his
Right.
grandfather owned a grocery store and was a farmer and rancher, and his dad sold and manufactured and created industrial sewing machines, and so like just really interesting
Fascinating.
business models. But he had entrepreneurism in his blood, and he really wanted to like do his own thing, and I was not on board with that. I was raised by two 8 to 5 people.
Right.
That is what we did. That was safe. You had insurance, and that's not the path that he wanted to take, and so he convinced me, okay, if we do this marketing thing, would you be in with it? In with me on this? And I was like,
Right.
yeah, sure. And I literally remember saying, like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, if it could fail, and we just have to pay this money back, right? And
Right.
that's harder than it seems.
So what was that experience like then?
Gosh, the failing of it was brutal. It was fun and exciting, and truly I am grateful now for the experience, because you get so much real world lessons, so many real world lessons whenever you learn instead of like reading about it or someone telling you about it. If you live it, you learn a lot. And we learned a lot. Like the government is not messing around when they want you to file quarterly sales tax reports. Like they are legit interested in that.
You can't dodge those.
You cannot, and they will like come after you.
Yeah.
It just really is one of those things that you learn a lot, and learned what was important, and how a lot of the world works, and so we failed, and I think both Brian and I credit that season of our life as bringing us to both of us grew up in Christian homes, and both of us were believers, but neither one of us could really authentically say that we had a close personal relationship with Jesus. And when you are broke as a joke, and your friends literally are bringing their own toilet paper to your house because you can't afford toilet paper, that is a humbling experience.
Wow.
And like there really is no other way to say it except, there was no one there except for Jesus to cry out to. And so that's how both of us kind of came to have a more close personal relationship with Jesus. And so I don't regret it, but I would not wish it on anyone, that kind of uncertainty and scariness,
Right.
So
you guys closed the door on that.
yeah, in 2009.
2009. And then did you immediately move back to Midland, or was it kind of a season of what are we going to do now, or
yeah.
was there something you were planning on doing?
So Brian is a software engineer. He has written software and been involved in that kind of nerdy world that I don't even know anything about.
Right.
Since he was in
Nerdy world.
yeah, oh gosh, such a big nerd, but I love my nerd.
Yeah.
He started that in really the 9th grade. And so he has been programming for a long time. And so he had a very marketable skill that he could fall back on. Not to say that he enjoyed a lot of the jobs that he found, but they paid well. And so he was able to go to work and, kind of keep us afloat. And
Right.
I think that, I'm grateful for a couple of the companies that he worked for. Whenever I married him, he was not sure that he wanted to be an international traveler. He was one of those who was like, America is great, and look at all there is to see. And,
Right.
we don't necessarily need to go to England or wherever to, experience, all this stuff. And this company that he was working for sent him to Africa, Sierra Leone, Africa. And they had just gotten done with a brutal civil war. And he said there's no dogs anywhere, there's no cats anywhere because they ate them all.
Right.
But he got to travel to Sierra Leone a couple of times. And after that, he had the travel bug. I didn't get to go with him, but he had just some really fun adventures there. And I credit that company to giving him the opportunity to learn more about the world. And
Right.
so, we love to travel. And
I was going to ask if you got to go with him, but you said that. So you guys ended up back in Midland at some point after
we
that
did,
little
yeah.
stay.
He got laid off from that particular
did?
company whenever I was 8 months pregnant with our second child.
Oh, no.
And that was a scary time.
That would be
but-
scary. Yeah, that would be scary. So you guys are back in Midland,
Yeah.
and I know how we met was through the co-working building downtown, second
Yeah.
story.
Yes.
So tell me about that, because Brian and his partners put that together.
They did.
Tell me that whole story and that journey of how that came to be.
So Brian and two really good guys that he had met just working in the professional world in Midland. They were working on a couple of projects together, and they regularly were talking about how they needed a better officing solution. At that time, Brian was officing out of our laundry room, and I was staying home.
Great space.
Oh yeah, we had 3 kids at that time, and he commented regularly, "I don't understand how the washing machine does not ever stop." And I'm like, look at our lives. Like, there's dirty things everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't ever stop. And this is how we have clean laundry. And
In his office.
Yeah, in your office.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, okay. And so, he's talking with one of his buddies, and he was able to do office with one of those guys who had a little bit of space in his office was so generous of him to allow Brian to do that. But like they started talking about how this was really a big problem. Like there was nowhere in Midland that, you know, would do short-term office leasing and individual office leasing. And, you know, all of them had experiences working in larger cities like and going into co-working spaces. And so they started talking about the possibility of bringing a co-working space to Midland. And in 2018, an opportunity just kind of fell in their lap. They were talking with Wes Perry, who owns Midland Tower, and Wes had actually been a part of a co-working space starting in Santa Fe. And Wes is just so passionate about downtown Midland, and I credit a lot of that energy and movement to him. But he had Midland Tower, and the second floor was totally empty. And they had already kind of started talking about it. And, you know, one of Brian's partners runs into Wes, and he's like, hey, we're kind of thinking about this. And Wes is like, I have this space on the second floor. And the name had actually come before Wes mentioned the second floor, but you know, the idea of second story, you know, was that, you know, someone could come and just start a whole new professional career working for themselves or something like that. It's their second story. And then, you know, the space comes available and it's on the second floor. And so everyone thinks that we just named it second story because it's on the second story.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep.
But it's not just limited to the second floor, right? You guys have evolved into other floors?
We have expanded. Last year we opened the 8th floor, which is more executive suites. So on the second floor we have 32 offices. We have open co-working space, which also doubles as event space. We have 4 meeting rooms, and then we have mailboxes and a cafe area, which is great for, you know, entertaining and those events, but also just having that convenience of having, you know, the ability to put your lunch in a refrigerator and then heat it up in a microwave. Those are things that if you are trying to get an office going, you don't think about the logistics of having to have that stuff available and furnish that on your own until you're in an office and you're like, man, I need a microwave in here. So, you know, it's just a great place to work. We had the opportunity to open the 8th floor, and with that floor, we opened up 11 new executive offices and a larger conference room up there as well. And so it's been so much fun to expand and grow and get to like build that and create that, because I wasn't a part of, you know, I heard all about Brian's creation of the second floor, but I wasn't a part of the business at that point. It wasn't until our community manager stepped out in 22 that I actually stepped in to be a part of the day-to-day business. And so to get to build this and be a part of actually making new strides in our business and doing new things, that's been really fun.
Ownership has got to be just something that makes you excited and happy that you're a part of that and you've seen that grow. So I've toured it.
Yeah.
I've been to the place.
What'd you
toured
think?
around, loved it. But I have one question. What is the draw? Why would somebody, if they're looking for traditional or non-traditional space, what's the draw to being a part of a co-working space?
So it can be different for anyone. We talked, you know, about target markets earlier with Chris in QVC, but truly the co-working space or the offices, we have such a variety of different businesses in there. And so there's different things that draw someone into a space like that, depending on, you know, if they're just an individual who has, who's the only person in Midland for their office based in Houston or Baton Rouge or something like that. They need a place to work that's not their laundry room or their guest bedroom. You know, it's really hard to concentrate when you're
or the
working.
Car.
Yeah,
Sitting
when you're
in their car
yes.
waiting for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a guy who has had an office there for years because he commutes to San Angelo a couple times, or from San Angelo a couple times a week, and you know he takes meetings, and yeah, he would just be in his car. He doesn't ever sleep in Midland, but he would. You know, come in for the day, and he's like, I take meetings downtown and I just need somewhere to have as a home base for the day. And so so he started with a co-working membership and then moved over to an office because he needed to leave some stuff there. But it really is varied for anybody. But I think the biggest draw is that you're able to be a part of a community. Anyone who has been a part of an office environment understands that there's workplace culture. And when you are an individual and you go to start your own company and you are looking around at officing solutions, workplace culture is something that you have to consider, especially if it's just you and like another guy. You're still creating a culture.
Right.
It's just either going to be a really boring one, or you can step into a space that already has people there, and there's energy and there's amenities and there's things going on and events and there's a copier and there's things that make your life easier professionally, and all of those things create a more happy and vibrant workplace.
I think sometimes we overlook those, or we just expect those.
Oh, yeah.
We just assume that those things are going to be there, but when they're not there,
You
we're
feel
really
it.
in trouble, and you
Yeah.
feel it. So, what's your go-to beverage? Tea or coffee?
Coffee, for sure.
Really?
So I am going to say something incredibly controversial.
Okay, let's hear it.
Are you ready for
You ready,
this?
Chris?
I don't like sweet tea. I don't.
But you're from Texas.
I know.
That is
we can
controversial.
shut this down. Wrap it up.
We're done. We're
I'm
done.
done.
Kill it.
Cancel
Yeah,
it.
kill it.
I don't like it
Kill the feed.
at all. Like, it's so gross and syrupy and not my jam. I am sure that there are brilliant entrepreneurs. I know there are, because I see them, like, people wrapped around the blocks for these HTOs and T2Go's and
yeah,
all
yeah.
this. So I know,
Chick-fil-A.
yeah. Well, I'll eat
That's
it.
my go-to.
That is Jesus's chicken right there.
Yes. Amen to that.
But I do not like. I'll drink iced tea like at my mom's house. That's not sweetened.
But it's not your
But
go-to.
I am not ever going to order it in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And so I have just recently, like in the last couple of years, learned to enjoy hot tea.
Yeah.
That was not something that I really enjoyed. It always seemed so like romantic and like precious to have the little teacup and
Yeah.
like, so I like registered for all of that china whenever I was getting married. Have used it never. But
Looks good in the house.
it really
Yeah.
does. But I just recently have learned to enjoy certain kinds of hot tea. So I am definitely a coffee girl, but I am not a caffeinated coffee girl.
Okay. I can live with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
we could be friends.
okay.
We could be friends.
Okay.
What's your
So-
favorite season? Hold on, we'll come back. What's your favorite season?
Fall.
Fall. Okay. Chris.
So I just want to circle back to your conversation. We're not going to rag on the tea thing. My dad is a non-sweet tea
What?
drinker.
There's a following out there.
Yeah. Well,
there is.
you're talking about your business and what you're doing. I wanted to know, have you seen somebody come in, set up shop, and actually have grown into something huge
That's
or
a great
something
question.
larger,
Yes.
into their dream that they've been working for? And if so,
Our second story.
right,
Yeah.
and if so, how does that feel being somebody to kind of foster that growth?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that is
Great
a very good question. That is literally my favorite thing about Second Story, is being able to be a part of all of these entrepreneurs' dreams and goals. And I'm sure they don't think of it that way,
Right.
but we do, because we're there facilitating and seeing that, okay, you were a coworker, you came in and you invested in yourself and your time, and you are paying for a monthly membership, and then business is good, and you know what, I really need a little space to spread out. Do you have an office available?
Yeah.
And so yes, they come on, and we get them an office, and so then lo and behold, they need another office for their assistant that they're hiring.
Right.
And I think the record right now is 6 offices. We have a
Wow.
team that has gone from co-working to having 6 offices in the course of probably the last 2 years.
So in that situation, if a company is growing, is there a point where you tell them, like, that's as much as we can handle? Like, or do you eventually see it like a company growing into your entire organization and just buying you out?
So I'm never going to tell someone that they need to go somewhere else. I'm always going to want them there in our space if we have the space to accommodate them. My goal, our dream would be to be able to open more spaces locally, and in doing that, we would probably take teams like this. Keep them in mind as we're doing that build out and say, hey, we're going to have the offices that kind of look like this. Would you like us to build them to suit if you're willing to sign a longer agreement?
Right.
Or
So,
something like
That's a
that.
great point.
Let's say that's the goal. What is your 10-year vision? Where do you see this 10 years from now?
Oh gosh.
Chris gets all the good questions.
Chris, I'm not going to lie to you. I am not a long-term thinker.
I kind of got that
because-
from earlier conversation, but I'm just seeing where your
Yeah.
vision is.
Yeah, so Brian could probably answer that question a lot more intelligently. I really enjoy the here and now, and I can think like 2 to 3 years down the road. I can't with the 10-year because, I'm going to have in 10 years, a 23-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 18-year-old
You'll
kid.
be almost empty nester.
I will be
Yeah.
almost empty nester. And so like I am not the one who has this 10-year plan in the sense that like what does God want? I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish I had a better answer for you, but I would love to see Second Story grow into multiple locations. And if, someone were to come into the market and say, hey, look, you've got a bunch of great properties. We want to buy them from you. We would let them.
Okay, one last question, and I'll let Jay have his show back.
Yeah.
But with your faith and your involvement within the church, but also this organization, have you had opportunities to minister while in the business world?
Yes. When we started Second Story, we every one of partners and their spouses are believers, and our intention in facilitating this business and starting it was that God would give us the opportunity to use it. And so we've had a really cool opportunity to be the home base of a couple of churches that were starting off and needed space. And so we figured out creative ways to make that work. And so they would meet on Sundays and come in and turn Second Story into a church, and then, clean up and pack out, and, we're a workplace again on Monday. So that has been really cool
That's brilliant.
to see because we're generally not using the space on Sundays. And so it really was super fun to see that. It is challenging when you've got, with churches come
Right.
kids, and so you have to figure out where to put them and all
Yeah,
that
where's
kinda
the
stuff.
nursery going to be?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're there for a season as long as it works for them, and then they've grown into different spaces. But that was something that was really special to us to be able to be a part of that. And then there also was a young adults group that is actually from Dallas. Watermark in Dallas has a very popular group called The Porch for young adults. And so The Porch was facilitated by Stonegate, but they met for the first year, 18 months, that they were kind of getting off the ground there at Second Story on Tuesday nights. And so it really was very cool to have a whole different demographic then come in and be there in the space during that
And
time.
as an entrepreneur, Second Story is not the only thing you've got your hat on.
That's true.
Easy Cheesy Photos. You co-partnered
Yes.
with launching that. Tell me about Easy Cheesy, because I've used that. at
Yeah, you have?
Events that I've been at.
Okay.
I've used it. Tell me about, where did that dream come from?
Okay. So we were really stupid, is what happened.
That's where the dream came from.
I wonder how many entrepreneurs say this,
Yeah.
because like there is a certain amount of insanity that happens
Sure.
that with all entrepreneurs, I am convinced, because I mean you have to be a little bit nuts to be
Sure.
like, yeah, that's great. I think that's a really good idea. I think it could make it work. Let's go and do it and forget all this other stable stuff. But when Brian was in the thick of launching Second Story, so it is now 2019, whenever we opened the doors of Second Story, it was July 2019. I have a very dear friend who had gone to a anniversary party in Dallas,
Right.
and these photo stands had, it was a smaller version of like the giant thing that you see at a wedding, that it requires an attendant and like just this very elaborate setup. And it was a smaller automated version where you didn't have to have an attendant. And
Right.
she was like, "This is the coolest, and I think this could really take off here." And she like talked about it. I was like, why don't you do that? And she's like, "No, that's not that's not something that I do."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, but you should." And she's like, "No, I'm not going to do that." I was like, "Okay, well, if you're not going to do it, I think it's a really good idea. So what if I did it?" And she was like, "So
can't let you
like
do
you
that."
really, really think it's that good of an idea?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Would you do it with me?" And I was like, "Yes to that." And so Brian was checked out enough because he was so focused on Second Story
Right.
during this one crazy month that I was like, "Hey, I'm going to do this with Beth." And he's like, "Okay, whatever." And I truly think, I mean, like we talked about it a little bit more than that, but for the most part, that was
Just jump in. and
that
do
was
it. Yeah.
it. And we were both in that stage where we had pretty young kids, and we were looking for something, which I think a ton of women go through, where you want to feel like a person again, because you've been mom for a long time, and you're like trying to figure out where you are in the crux of all the crazy. And Brian was doing his thing, and the kids are
Identity is in mom, and then
Yeah.
that's not enough.
exactly.
So you want to find.
Not that it's not enough, but like it's just like I'm smart and I want to feel smart. And so let me use my brain instead of just like cooking and taking care of people.
Folding clothes and cleaning up,
all that
throw
good stuff,
up, and-
which is
yeah.
all very, very valid. I mean, that is hard,
Yeah.
thankless work
Yeah.
some days. And so I was looking for an outlet. And so Beth and I jumped in, and both Second Story and Easy Cheesy are about to celebrate their 5-year anniversaries
Wow.
because we are crazy. So
Why Easy Cheesy? Was that the brand of it, or is that a name you guys?
that
came
is the
up with?
name we came up with. Yeah, we bought a photo stand and named it Easy Cheesy just because it really is. If you've used it, it is super easy to use. It's automated. It says tap to start, and you tap it. And do you want to take a picture? Do you want to take a boomerang or a GIF? And you tap what you want, and then you do it, and then
it's
it
brilliant.
emails or texts it to you. And
It's so much better than the old school that I grew up with, where you get inside the booth, and you pull the curtain.
Yes. Sorry, I have
You
a
put in
hair
a
right now.
dollar in quarters, and it takes your picture, and you get the little strip of, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
It's so
yeah.
much better than that.
Put in the dollar, and the Flintstones dinosaur draws out your picture.
Yes.
Like when you were a
Little
kid.
hammer.
Yes,
like,
something like that, Chris. Yes, exactly. Kelly, thank you so much for being here. I want to kind of wrap some things up and kind of get to know a little bit about you. So, as we're sitting at this table, and I know that you shared a little bit about your faith a little bit, and how that's played into your business model and your decisions. But if we were sitting at this table and having a conversation, who would you invite to sit here and pour into you? Who gets to sit at your table?
Oh gosh. So, my mom does. So I am so thankful to have the gift of parents who live close. They're still in Midland, and I am thankful that she is present, and I am thankful that she is for me, and I am thankful that she years ago coined the phrase "mommalese." Like, she would say these things, and I'm like, oh, dang, Mom, that's some serious wisdom. And she was like, that's my momily for the day. And so she's smart, and she gets to speak into my life. I welcome that. You know, like there are times as an adult that you look at your parents and you're like, man, you guys made some crap choices, but look at where you are now. And so, like, I've walked through that as an adult, and said, I see what you did there. I'm not going to make that choice. I'm going to do this. But the person that she is just so worthy of respect, and she has so much wisdom, and so I really very much enjoy the time that I get to spend with her, and I'm thankful for it very much. So I also have just precious friends who surprise gift. Whenever we moved back to Midland, there was a group of young women who I went to First Baptist with whenever I was growing up, and somehow through all the twists and turns of life, and there's been some that have come in and then left again, ended up back here in Midland. And so these are girls, I can say girls because we were girls together, growing up in high school and going to youth group together. And there's 4 of us now who are just, they are my, they have my ear, they have my heart, and there is not a thing in this world that I would not do for them. So they speak heavily into my life for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
My favorite question that I always ask everybody is the last question. And that is, what do you want to be known for?
Loving others well. So in the last 9 years. So in 2016, that math is hard.
It's very hard.
Brian is great at math. I less so. I wanted to go at camp. They were asking for leaders to come and serve at youth camp, and I was really weirdly excited about it because I had 2 young children and a baby that I was nursing at the time. And I was like, yes, I want to go to camp. And Brian is like, you are insane. How on earth are we going to make that work? And I was like, I feel confident that our parents will take care of kids if we are serving. And he was like, all right. So we go to camp, and God can use like those really selfish yeses.
Yes, he can.
And he did, in the sense that, like, we're partway through the week and it's Wednesday night, and they call all the leaders in, and they're like, hey, so we're with this group of 6th grade girls, and they're like, these new incoming 6th graders, they're not going to have group leaders if people don't step up. And so, you've been with them for the week. Would you consider coming and serving on Wednesday nights with us? And I was like, no, that is not at all what I signed up for. And I tried it a little bit whenever we got back. And it was one of those things that I was trying to do it in my own power.
Yep.
And it just wasn't working. And I literally cannot describe it to you any differently, but God was waiting for me to get out of the way so that he could work.
Yep.
And so I hear this sermon on Sunday morning several months down the road. And basically the pastor was like, if you're waiting for an invitation to come and serve in our youth or with our kids, let me just tell you, God's already issued that. All throughout Scripture, it talks about pouring into the next generation. And so if you need to hear it from the pulpit, like, here it is, you need to go and serve. And I was like, okay. And I really heard it, from the Lord that morning, now's the time. And I told Brian, and he was like, this was crazy. Why would we do this? And I was like, I don't know, but I think I'm supposed to do it now. And so I called my old group leader that I'd gone to camp with, and I was like, would you like me to come and serve with you on Wednesday nights? And she's like, yes, we could use you. And so I stepped into it, and that started a 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade journey with these girls who I walked with through some really hard stuff, and I graduated them in 22, getting to be a part of their lives and pour into them more of a blessing than you just can't even fathom. Had to bury one of them, just really beautifully hard things. But through it all, I don't care if they learn anything else, but God loves you, and I love you.
Wow.
And so if that's all they remember, that I love them and that God loves them, that's the only message for them, for my kids, for anyone who I meet. I deeply just want to love others well.
And that's a great way to wrap this up. Thank you so much for sharing that. It means a lot, and I know you made a huge difference. Thank you, and what you and Brian are doing in our community.
Thanks.
We're grateful for that, and hope that Second Story becomes all that you've dreamed for it to be. And easy cheesy photos the same too. But thank you for your time, and hopefully you'll meet Brian one day and get him on the show. Thanks to Chris for producing. Thank you for joining with us. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this episode. We will see every one of you next week. Thanks.
Elevate your operation with Performance Chemical Company, the pioneers in redefining chemical solutions for the oil and gas industry in the Permian Basin. Unveiling groundbreaking ideas since 2017, our dry chemistry plant stands as a testament to innovation. Our products and services revolutionize water treatment, production, midstream, and saltwater disposals. We're your strategic partners in optimizing investments, slashing operating expenses. Performance Chemical Company. How you get there matters.